All right, good evening, everyone. TGT Me is an entertainment industry interview show where we interview the creative people from the internet as well as the TV, film, music, video game, and comic industries. And I'm your host, Kurt. We are joined today on episode 314 by one of the very original people that we interviewed almost 4 or 5 years ago. We're joined today by a very talented artist and cartoonist in her own right, Stephanie O'Donnell. How are you doing today?
Pretty good. I just had something to eat, so now I feel full and full of energy, and I can actually speak in complete sentences. So,
which is good.
So, yeah, it's important.
You know, the last time we had you on, way back when we were first finding out our legs, so to speak, when it comes to the show, you were working on a very fun comic, the original Nutty Funsters, and
yes.
I say it's safe to say that some things have changed since then.
Well, I'm not doing it anymore. I stopped doing it. I stopped doing it in '09 because I pretty much was, I was just too involved with what I'm doing right now, which is Perfect Agent.
Yes.
Which is it's a collaboration between myself and the writer Greg Carter, who's done a bunch of other stuff. He does Love Is in the Blood, yep. Abandon, things like that. And
great guy.
Oh yeah, he's awesome. He's very. Can I swear?
Yeah, you can do it.
Yeah, he's super fucking chill. Like we get along so well. We just had it's just when you have that synergy, it's you have to keep it intact. You want to hold on to it. But yeah, he came up with this idea for a spy story. I originally came to him because he had a posting on a forum somewhere about he was trying to look for an artist for paid work on a different story. And I contacted him about it, and he said, sorry, it's already taken, but I have this other story in mind. Would you be interested in that? And, he told me, and I was like, yeah, sure, I'd love to do it, because I was, I really wanted to be challenged. And I still want to be challenged, but yeah, it pretty much, it just went off from there, just pretty much hit the ground running. And, we came up with ideas, we bounced off ideas off of each other. And, I came up with, some, a little bit of character traits here and there. And, we went over some stuff, and, he would send me some script, and I would I would draw it up and send it to him. And, and yeah, pretty much, when I was doing it, I felt that, this is something I should really pay more attention to. Cause I was just getting fed up with the other thing that I was doing. So I was just like, fuck this. Let me just work on that. So I ended it, and I just started doing Perfect Agent.
Well, that's the one thing. I actually got through the entire archive, which is,
wow, really?
Yeah. No,
that's 4 years worth, man.
Hey, I've done this long enough. I think I can speed read through comics and still retain the aspect of it. No, I really enjoyed Perfect Agent. I didn't know what to expect. I've always known Greg Carter's work, obviously, from Abandon, Love Is in the Blood. I've interviewed him a few times, and, his sense of world building and character driven comics are definitely unique to his own style. And I can see that with Perfect Agent. And your artwork for it's almost like film noir style artwork. It's very, very dark, very spy-y in certain cases, but still has a sense of humor here and there. And I think your artwork actually really, really blends and meshes well with Greg's overall writing too. So I thought that was a great collaboration so far.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, because we always come up with, different ideas. And, what we usually do is we start out with where do we want it to take place? And we just kind of go from there. And, I go for reference photos and things like that. And, cause I've drawn some stuff with the one that took place in Italy. I was super stoked on it. I was just like, I can't wait. The minute, like, we didn't even have anything written down. And I was like, come hell or high water, I am drawing the Fountain of Trevi. And I did. I drew the Fountain of Trevi. Cause, it was just like, just find a reason to put to put that in the background somewhere and I will draw it. Cause I just, and prior to that, we did one that was set, in Ireland and England, and, the part that was in Ireland, I think I drew the Parliament. I can't remember. It's a very important building, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But it was from a reference, and it was, I like to do that. I like to throw in, little landmarks and stuff, and to challenge myself to, like, throw in a little bit of life drawing lessons in with the comic aspect.
Yeah, that's the one thing. Speaking of your art style here, I think compared to your other work that I've seen, obviously being the very first comic you did, this feels a lot more looser. This is almost like, in terms of just your motion, you're trying to use motion with the action and the lines that you're drawing from your characters. So you're not trying to stay static in a scene. You're trying to still invoke a little bit of motion with the various characters' actions.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Because, it is an action comic. So, I want it to be like, cause I remember, a long time ago, do you know Spike, who does, Templar Arizona?
Yeah.
She was doing like a live stream drawing session, and she kind of, like a little nugget of wisdom just kind of stuck out, and I just, absorbed it. She said that basically, when you're drawing people, make sure that they're not, stationary. Make sure that there's some sort of pose, there's some sort of action going on. Otherwise, it just looks static and boring, and no one cares. So that's, I always try and remember that, like, like that makes sense. You don't want to look at a person just standing, unless you have a standing fetish, then I'm sorry, I can't help you.
Or a mannequin fetish of some kind.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. Okay.
But stiff people aside, other than the dead people that you occasionally draw, from the multiple headshots and other eye gougings and.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun to do. I'm not gonna lie, because, it's somehow therapeutic, It just, although I've gotten, like, some people, like, I remember, like, one time somebody, like went through, like, each page that I was doing at the time and, like, leaving really pedantic comments about, like, the trajectory of the bullets, like, the angles aren't right, and then they always ended it with, but I don't know, I can't draw. Tee-hee, like, that kind of passive-aggressive kind of thing, like, just like, it's comics, you gotta turn your brain off, suspension of disbelief. Does it really matter what fucking angle it is? I mean, the guy's dead.
If they like the certain perspectives and all that other stuff from a bullet entering and exiting the skull, then there's Mythbusters for you.
Exactly. I mean, have them contact me and we'll do a show, and
But something like this, obviously, as an artist, as a creator of content, you obviously, like you said, you wanted to challenge yourself. What was it about working with Greg that is really challenging you?
Mostly that, I was just, what I was doing mostly was a lot of cartoony stuff. And in my spare time, I did do some comic book art type of things, but I mostly stuck to cartoons. And I just wanted to branch out. I wanted to actually draw, I can draw people, which always frustrated me, because at the time when I was, like, shilling my book, I would show it to people and they would be like, can you draw people? And I'm like, yeah. Like they just kind of had this this idea of me that I would only draw, for funny animals. I don't want to say furry because it's not furry. That's a huge pet peeve of mine. Yeah. I had a guy tell me one time that uh, me being labeled as furry is good because I'm in good company, and no. I've hung around them in high school. It's not good company at all. Trust me. It's the complete opposite.
Oh, since we've last talked, obviously you've always tried to improve your skills, and that's evident, especially with your every so often between your story arcs with Perfect Agent, you're doing your pinup style pose. Well, not pinups, but you're doing poses of the characters rather. Mm-hmm. You're also trying some different art styles. Like I saw a nice minimalist version of the Perfect Agent of Terra, and a few other aspects as well.
Which one was that?
I think it was between mission 3 and 4. It was just your only version of color that I've seen.
Yeah, cause every now and then, like, I try and mess around with different things, and I like to experiment with, different textures and things like that. And, for a while, I was pretty minimalist because, I don't know, just kind of, I was just feeling it at the time. I'm very hippie about things like that. I'm just like, just go with what I feel. And, if it vibes, it vibes. And if it doesn't, then, I'll fix it according to one's needs.
Well, then, what about these characters? Their interactions, obviously, you're collaborating with Greg. You kind of work through stories, as it sounds like. Correct me if I'm wrong. When are you coming up to Canada with Tara? I'd love to see her in a Canadian spy story of some kind.
Yeah, I gotta pitch that to him. Yeah, I gotta ask him about that.
have her battle the Caribou Cartel, the Penguin Triad, and the Caribou Cartel, Penguin Triad, and the Polar Bear Mafia. That's it. Yeah, just.
Well, I'll tell you this much. There was I went to Boston last year to stay with a friend and then go see a show. So, I stayed for the weekend and I took, a bunch of pictures, like the buildings and the architecture and stuff and the landmarks. Because I was preparing for like a future issue. And then we all know what happened a couple of months ago. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't do this. So it's like, just scrap it. We'll put them in a different location because it would be in bad taste.
Yeah, no, it's hard to be a creative person but also have a sense of morality as well too when it comes to
absolutely,
especially this type of storyline too with the.
Because it's so easy to be offensive, and I see it a lot, especially in certain popular webcomics, and and a lot of people are upset about it, but it's just, to me, it's number one, it is offensive, and then number two, it's so go-to, it's so, just trite, derivative, just something to fall back on. It's just, it's a safety net. It's so easy to just, upset people. And that's not what I want to do. But, you could probably argue that, with the, why do you have gun violence and stuff like that, But, it is an action comic, and it's espionage. And espionage is not balloons and tea parties. So,
I think when it comes to comics in general, context is the key. Content helps too, but context is the key, especially for the tools that you're able to use when it comes to relaying a story.
Absolutely.
The problem with a lot of comics these days in general, and society for that matter, at least this is my opinion, is that everyone is too sensitive. There's no there's no filter. Everyone has to walk on eggshells with each other. And in certain situations, it's necessary to do that, but there just seems to be no ability to say, this is a joke, you know.
Or they go too far with it.
Yeah.
You know, it just, when when you're called out on something, you should really address it in an adult manner and not, sick your stands after, the person, like, certain people do. It happens a lot. Especially, on many social media sites such as Tumblr and whatnot. And, and it's garbage. And, it is important to, to realize that we don't live in a vacuum and that, what you say and what you do is important. But yeah, context is key.
Just like taking text out of meaning when you can't hear emotion of someone saying that sentence is the exact same.
Yeah, because it is, until we get, to that, to flying car technology, Jetsons technology, where, you can actually be able to convey emotion through typing. It's not going to happen.
If you have good punctuation, then you might be able to kind of get the gist of it. But, when you're all short-formed and speed type, it is what it is.
Yeah, because it's just, it is what it is. Language is language. And, I see a lot of people, like, get mad about abbreviations and stuff. And it's funny because, like, I think David Spade, of all people, was really, really prescient, in about 20 years ago when he was still on SNL and he would do the Hollywood Minute. Yeah. He did a bit where he said that in the future that we would all be talking to each other in abbreviations. It's like, did you hear that record? It's gone dub plat. It's kind of getting to that point now. Yeah. Where, and I'm doing it too. I do it all the time, instead of saying sorry, I say soz,
That's new.
Yeah, soz, S-O-Z.
Okay. Add that to my dictionary. Yeah, right.
Yeah. That's what all the kids are, that's all the kids at the arcade are saying.
We have arcades still?
I guess. I don't know. They have them at movie theaters.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, those little. Yeah, I remember the downtown arcade we used to have by the river. It was great. It was fast steadies. But then they tore it down. But artistically, though, how have you changed in the past 4 years?
I definitely feel that I've gotten better with human anatomy and movement and the flow of the movement. I think I need to work on cars a little bit more, and it's so ironic that I'm very, kind of flippant about drawing cars because I live in an urban area and there's cars everywhere. So, like, I should know how to draw a fucking car, because sometimes I look back on, like, old stuff and I'm like, I totally forgot to put,
fender.
like a dashboard mirror. Like, why is that not there? But then you can always say, like, oh, maybe it broke off,
Shot off. Got shot off. That's your excuse.
Yeah, it got broke off. Yeah.
Why doesn't it have side mirrors? They got shot off. Yeah.
Yeah, you could just make up something. But yeah, I'm just always trying to, try and play around, especially with the panel formatting and, it's just things like that. Different textures and different, it's really weird because it was, I ended up looking at, some Guru comic, like, a couple weeks ago out of, like, morbid curiosity. And, I was looking at the artwork and, the subject matter aside, I was like, wow, damn, this is really well done. And, like, why can't I do stuff like this? It's like, I need to do that more often. I need to incorporate, these kinds of lines and that kind of texture and, all the technical shit So, inspiration comes from the strangest things, and I prefer it that way, because I prefer it to come from, anywhere.
Well, especially being in New York as it is, I mean, obviously, similar to Boston in terms of architecture, in terms of locations, I'm sure you have a lot to draw from. No pun intended, but I mean, yeah, you obviously have the ability to draw from, especially the people, the masses that are out there. Everyone is different that you could draw from too. When it comes to future stories, obviously, you have two characters now, Tara and Kasumi are doing, they find that they're half sisters. It's no spoiler because it's in the physical story, so
Okay.
Obviously, they're learning to work with each other. They're learning their past, their histories.
Yeah.
Where do you see these characters in the future?
Hopefully they're not like me and my sister, and that we argue a lot and like just fight over what to watch on television, or hopefully it's not something like that. But I could see that there's something there. I think Tara is very, very curious about Kasumi, and vice versa. And I think what I would really like is to just like incorporate a little bit more of Kasumi's abilities, without making it turn into Psylocke, because that's what I was worried about. I was like, okay, she's Asian, she's got psychic powers. Psylocke. Don't make her into Psylocke. Don't give her a psychic knife. Don't give her like half a brain of someone else and half a brain of another person. Don't do that. Do not do that.
Especially with the name Kasumi. I mean, that's just like almost traditional, any of the fighter games,
yeah. Well, Greg came up with. Yeah. Greg came up with that.
He's a big manga anime fan as well too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he
turned me on to this new thing. I don't know how new it is, but it's new to me. Are you still there?
I'm here.
Oh, okay. I thought I got cut off for a minute. Yeah. It's called Puella Magi Madoka Magica.
Sounds familiar.
It's kind of like, I don't know. I only watched like a couple episodes so far, but it's kind of like Sailor Moon. It's like a darker version of Sailor Moon, which is cool to me because I loved Sailor Moon growing up. So, I was like, this is right up my alley. I need to watch more of it. But of course, me being lazy,
Another one, if you like the similar concept, Renta Magica is another one that's a similar dark concept, but only 2 or 3 magicians battling other magicians for contracts. It's actually pretty cool.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, because I have to look out for that.
It's a mid 2000s, late 2000s series. What else can we talk about here? Let's ask you some of the questions from the documentary I'm putting together. Pretty easy. 4 or so questions, but answer them however you like. When it comes to influential people, obviously there's usually a person that kind of sets you on your path to what you're doing now. Who was that for you?
My dad.
Cool.
My father. He was an artist. He was predominantly an oil painter. He would work in watercolor. He would draw occasionally. He would sketch in charcoal. But he mostly was very, very into oil painting, and he would reproduce Vermeer for fun and for practice.
Nice.
So we have like a reproduction of Girl with a Pearl Earring around here somewhere.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Now that I'm in art school, I can actually understand that.
Oh, okay. But yeah, it's being in my house, it's kind of like a museum because like his paintings are everywhere. You know, we just have them all around, and because we're not going to be like just completely when he died, he not just like completely get rid of no, like we will stays here. This is his life's work. We're going to honor it. We're proud of him. We're still proud of him. And yeah, a lot of it was like it's just so many. There's just so many things that he would use. He was really into life drawing, and I remember a lot of times like he would take random items, and we would pretty much never see them again because it would just be like they'd be lost somewhere in his studio, and he never got the chance to use them. I had like a brass rocking horse that I really liked, and he's like, "Oh, can I borrow that for a little bit?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." And then years later, I was like, "You still have it?"
Somewhere.
Yeah, going to like, and whenever I wanted a pencil sharpened, it was a nightmare. It was just like trying to ask him. He was like, first of all, he would be like, "All right, first you go in there, you go straight, then you take a left. Be very careful. You know what? Stay here. I'll get it myself." And he would go and he was very meticulous, very methodical about his craft.
Another question I have is when it sorry, phone.
No problem.
Okay. Do you feel that you're successful?
Define successful.
Personal accomplishments or just in life?
I think I'm in a better place. Emotionally, mentally, and creatively. I feel like I got my mojo back finally, cause, last year was just, I just wasn't feeling it for some reason. There was just a lot of shit going on, and, I was just distracted. But, I just feel like I'm just, like it's coming back. I got my mojo back, and I want to maintain it, cause there's always that feeling, and I don't know if it's just me or if it's other artists too, like there's always, that fear that's, once you lose that passion, it's gone forever, like it's just, it's just something that dissipates. But no, it's not. Just, you get into slumps and, just like anything else, you just gotta ride them out. It sucks, but, I'm financially not so much, but, I'm okay, but, I'm always down for commissions, so.
How do you deal with failures?
I used to take them pretty hard. Especially when I was little. I was really, really sensitive. And, I'm still sensitive now. I'm still a little baby at age 30, But I think now I'm just a little bit, I don't know, maybe I'm just a little bit more, I'm using certain skills in order to, to handle them and to cope. And, it helps to bitch to other people too, I think that's the real secret. If you have at least one person to bitch to about how, you got a shitty review or you got, some sort of, hassle by somebody, you're good. Cause it makes you feel like you're not alone, The worst thing in the world is feeling like you're, like you're the only one that feels this way, and, nobody wants that. We're a social species. We want to feel like we're part of something. So, I do remember, like, you know, a lot of the times, especially with Nutty Funsters, it really got pigeonholed and misunderstood, and I kind of knew what I was going in for. I knew what I was getting into, but at the same time, I still couldn't really handle it because, you know, I knew there was going to be like the furry label, and I knew people would, you know, be like, oh, well, this, you know, this is this and this and that. You know, I've had people tell me, oh, it's too sarcastic or it's sarcastic. Nobody likes sarcasm. Like, really? Are you fucking sure about that? Like, do you know how many fucking comedy series are built on sarcasm? You know, and, you know, you start to wonder if it's legitimate criticism, or if they're jealous, or if they're just giving you extra shit because you're a girl, you know. And they're like, you know, it's the He-Man Woman Haters Club still, unfortunately. Like, no girls allowed. What are you doing in the clubhouse? Get the fuck out.
Even after all this time, really? I mean, there's so many talented female artists out there. And
yeah, it still goes on. It still goes on. Yeah, it just, you know, it was just really, and some of these guys, you know, they just no tact whatsoever. They just say what they want, and, you know, cause they figure, you know, oh, it's just the internet, you know, just deal with it. But no, you know, you're still saying something hurtful to a person, and that person has feelings, and they're gonna emote. So, you know, but yeah, I you know, there's a lot of people that are, I remember, I was doing a paid project for this guy, and, he was shilling it at, WonderCon. And he was showing it to, a guy next to him that was at the booth next to him. And, he kind of mentioned my name in passing, and the guy that was looking at it was like, a woman drew this? And he was like, yeah, a woman drew it. And then he goes, oh, I can tell. Like, what do you mean by that? Like, how can you tell? Like, do you use moon magic, or, you know, what kind of sorcery is involved in which you can distinguish the gender of the person that is doing sketchy doodles in funny books? You know, it's just ridiculous shit. It's just always like, you know, sometimes it's out in the open. A lot of times though, it's very, very passive aggressive. Very passive aggressive. And sometimes they hit on you. And they won't take no for an answer. You know, to the point where it gets scary. You know, I've had to block people because of it, and it sucks, you know, because, you know, you don't feel, you know, because then it gets to that point where you don't feel safe, and that it shouldn't be that way. I shouldn't have to feel like, you know, I should be fearing for my life at a fucking comic convention. You know, I shouldn't be made to feel that way. You know, you're here to have fun and look at people dressed up, you know. Maybe make some money. You know, you don't want to, you know, you shouldn't have to, you know, go, you know, there's a lot of things that are going on that should not be going on. And thankfully there are some social media outlets that are bringing it to light. And hopefully, you know, people will take notice and prick up their ears, you know, especially some of the bigger names like Read Expo, because, you know, I've heard a lot of bad things about Read Expo. You know, they pretty much just don't give a shit. They just, you know.
They're New York Comic Con, C2E2, and
yeah,
a few of the others, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Getting on to a more positive note then, even though that is very interesting, actually. When it comes to the next generation coming up, how can they be inspirational?
What do you mean exactly? Like what? Like
sorry. It follows along the inspirational people aspect, but how I worded it originally was people find you inspirational. How can they become inspirations?
I have no idea if people find me inspirational. If they do, they need to get get checked into someplace special.
Bouncy walls.
Yeah.
Bouncy castles, there you go.
Yeah. We'll put it that way.
Just an open
like
question.
inspirational. Like how can they, how can they make the world a better place for you and me? Like,
sure.
Leave the world in better condition than you found it?
Something like that, yeah.
Just, take in as much knowledge as you can. Just sit there, observe, read, soak it in, absorb it, ingest it. Just, let it sit, let it ferment. And then draw your own conclusion. Take what you can from it. And, it really depends on what you want to do. Like, it depends on the genre, it depends on, what you want to say, or like,
Yeah. No, I hear you.
But I would say just, don't worry much about the goal. Don't worry about the goal. The goal will be there. Just, you have to, you have to find a foundation. You have to find a way to get there. Just focus on, just do what you do, and then it'll come to you. It'll come to you in its own way, Stranger things have happened, And that does not mean try drugs, because I know that probably sounds like it. It probably sounds like thinly veiled Timothy Leary kind of speech, but it's not. I don't condone that. I don't condone that sort of behavior.
That's good. Is there anything that we haven't talked about that you'd love for the watchers of this as well as the listeners of the show? Besides the website, which I think is Perfect Agent.
It's perfectagentcomic.com. Because Perfect Agent was taken.
Just like TGT.com. Thank you, Target, for stealing my moniker. Curse you.
Damn. It's too bad.
Yeah, I know, it would have been great. No, I'm sorry. Is there anything else that you wanted to let everyone know about?
If you want to ask me about like technical aspects or anything, that'd be cool.
All right, yeah, because that's something I haven't asked in a while, actually.
Well, what do you want to know about? Like,
well, I mean, have you changed since the last time that we talked? I mean, technology-wise, obviously, a lot has improved in the past.
Well, I have a tablet.
Ooh.
I actually, a couple of years ago, I gave myself an early Christmas present and got like a refurbished little Wacom Bamboo.
Nice.
And it's not fancy, but it works. That's what matters.
What software?
I don't know. I don't know what you mean by that.
Sorry. What software do you use to draw?
Oh, Photoshop. Sorry.
That's what I meant. Not what software the Wake.
I'm like, wait a minute, what?
I wouldn't want to go that technical. It's not that impressive.
So for a minute, I froze. No, I use Photoshop. I pretty much swear by it, and I try to. Mostly what I do with Perfect Agent is traditional. It's hand drawn, but when I go to scan it, I put in a lot of the gray tones and the textures in Photoshop. So
a lot of it's just the outlines and the actual characters themselves are hand drawn, and then you just add the extra stuff.
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah. Do you find that takes you a lot longer to do a strip in general, or a page rather?
No, not really. Not really. Like cause I've done it for so long, like I've gotten into this groove now where it's just like, no, like, this is a piece of cake, I can just bang this out, whenever, But I do like to, stick to a schedule, like, okay, this day at this time, I'm going to do this. And then tomorrow, I'm going to work on that. And then so on and so forth. Because I don't want to do the whole thing in one sitting, which I could do and I have done in the past. But you gotta remember, like, that was with a comic strip. This is a comic page. This is much more detailed. And,
Are we talking like an 8.5 by 11, or what size are you working with?
It's a manga size. Because we print the comics in manga digest form.
Awesome. Nice.
It's actually a lot easier to scan into, because before I was using like the 11 by 17, and I had to scan it in halves, and then I would have to like do like a puzzle thing. I have to like put it together in Photoshop and make sure like everything lined up and everything, and it was annoying. I mean, I mastered it after a while, but I was just like, you know what, I need to downsize a little bit.
So
it worked. So.
Artistically, when you're not doing this, how are you kind of taking the time for yourself then?
What, like downtime?
Yeah, downtime.
I listen to a lot of music. I do a lot of visualization of, I have a lot of ideas in my head for, stories, potential screenplays, things like that, stuff that I just kind of entertain the idea, but I don't really put down on paper. I do watch a lot of wrestling. I got back into wrestling again. So, I'm also, if I'm doing a project at the time, I'll also work on the project. But, when I'm not doing that, I just pretty much just find different ways to try and, gather information. Like, I just do lots of, just different stuff, different subjects that I'm into at the time, or, whatever pops into my head, because, I have, I just got a new iPod Touch, so that, because the other one I had was really, really old, and, now I'm, like, vining everything. I'm just, like, making all these stupid vines of shit. Yeah, and,
I haven't tried that yet. I've seen Vines, and they're actually pretty interesting, but I've never actually done one yet.
Yeah, they're great. It's just, I know, like, Instagram video came out, like, and the day it came out, everybody was like, oh, R.I.P. Vine. I'm like, you're jumping the gun. Because when I tried it, the damn thing crashed on me 4 times. And it's still wonky, because it's still a new feature on Instagram. So, of course, it's going to be, buggy and laggy. And so it either crashes or it eats my videos. So I'm like, fuck this. I'm sticking with Vine. Because it's easier. It's just easier anyways, so.
I actually used Will Sasso's lemon party thing that he put together, and used it as a part of my montage video stuff that I did for, we had to do a montage video about our favorite fruit, so I did a montage about a bunch of TV shows only using lemons.
Oh, okay.
And it actually
did you involve Don Lemon?
I did Inside the Actors Studio, and I did Jack Lemmon, actually.
Oh, okay.
So
I was gonna say, like,
I'll toss you the video after we're done with things.
Little shout out to CNN,
Yeah, no, Canadian here, so I was doing a lot of, like, Dexter and, Inside the Actors Studio, and,
oh, that's cool.
Reality shows like, 18 and Lemon or something like that.
Oh.
And, crazy stuff. I have a woke
Yeah.
sense of humor, so, but I toss in a
Well,
little.
so do I. You're in good company. So.
Oh, perfect. I think that ends, we'll leave it talking with lemons. Not because they suck, because they're just great in TV shows. Thank you, Stephanie, for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. I'm glad to see that you're doing another amazing project, of course, with Perfect Agent, perfectagentcomic.com.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate you giving me the time to rant and rave.
That's what I do. That's what TGT's all about.
All right.
So this starts off July. I didn't even mention that. June is done. July is here. We're going to have a lot of really great comic people on the show. Look for, of course, Stephanie was just on. Look for other people like the 5th anniversary of Postscript is both of those wonderful. Graham Moxoulis is going to come back on the show with his brother. Going to talk about their stuff. A lot of other people, of course, on TGTmedia.com. Website went down temporarily due to the update. I have a temporary theme up. If you like it, great. If not, tell me about it. Kurt@TGTmedia.com. You can get this show on iTunes. You can also get this on YouTube as well. The YouTube/TGT Media. And I'm always looking for new people. So if you ever want to be on the show, click on the portion of the website that it says suggest interview. It's real easy to do, and you can get a direct email to the show. And that ends this episode. Tune in next week for another great interview.